All right, let's talk about Waymo. For over a decade, this company has been quietly building what might just be one of the most transformative technologies of our time, a truly autonomous driver. Today, we're going to break down exactly how they did it. Let's dive in.
It all boils down to this question, doesn't it? How do you teach a car to drive? And maybe the real question is, how do you teach it to be even better than a human driver? For more than 15 years, this has been Waymo's mission. And the answer? Well, it's an incredible story about making radical bets and playing the long game. You see, to really get how Waymo pulled so far ahead of the pack, we have to go right back to the very beginning. It all started with a single foundational decision that put them on a completely different road than pretty much everyone else. So picture this, it's 2009, and this whole thing is a secret Moonshot project inside Google X. They started out, by retrofitting cars you see every day, like a Prius and a Lexus. But then, in 2013, they did something nobody saw coming. They built this little guy on the right, the Firefly, a car designed from scratch with one purpose, to drive itself.
And this quote, this says it all. This is the core of Waymo's entire philosophy. The Firefly had no steering wheel, no pedals. Why? Because Waymo's big bet was that asking a human to suddenly snap to attention and take over in an emergency was the problem, not the solution. So they went all in on full level 4 autonomy from day one, forcing themselves to solve the hardest problems first. So, how did they actually solve those problems? Let's pop the hood and dissect the technology behind what they call the Waymo driver. We'll break it down into two parts. The senses, that's the hardware that sees the world, and the brain, the AI software that's actually doing the driving. The evolution of their hardware is really fascinating. If you look at their 5th generation, the stuff on their Jaguar I-Pace fleet, that was all about brute force. It was like, let's throw everything we've got at this to prove it can work no matter what it costs. But this new 6th generation, it's a totally different ballgame. It's all about efficiency, about making this a real, profitable business that can scale. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Just look at the cameras. They went from 29 all the way down to 13. Now you might think, wait, is that a downgrade? But that's the whole point. It's the exact opposite. It's proof that their software, their brain, has gotten so incredibly smart that it can see the world with even more accuracy using fewer but better sensors. That's how you make the economics of this whole thing work. So, how did the brain get so smart? The answer is probably Waymo's single biggest competitive advantage. Something they call simulation city. Think of it like the Matrix for cars. It's this hyper-realistic digital world where the Waymo driver has already racked up tens of billions of miles, training on every weird, dangerous, once-in-a-lifetime scenario you can imagine, without ever putting a real car in harm's way. And this creates this incredible feedback loop, a powerful learning flywheel. Here's how it works. A car sees something tricky in the real world. That exact situation gets uploaded and recreated in Simulation City. They then run millions of different versions of it until the AI masters it completely. And then, bam, that smarter, updated software gets beamed out to the entire fleet. It's a learning curve that just gets steeper and steeper. Okay, so they've got the senses and the brain figured out. Now they need a body for it. And this is a really critical point. Waymo builds the driver, not the car. For the vehicles themselves, they team up with major automakers. And their current fleet strategy is just a masterclass in geopolitical chess. Plan A was this really cool purpose-built robotaxi with a Chinese automaker called Zeekr. But with US-China trade tensions heating up, that started to look like a massive risk. So they activated Plan B, the Hyundai Ioniq 5. And here's the genius part. It's built in Hyundai's new factory in Georgia, right here in the USA, which completely de-risks their supply chain.
Running a fleet like this is so much more than just having the cars. It's this huge, complex ecosystem. They've had to build out a whole network of partners for everything. You've got Magna integrating the hardware, Move handling fleet operations and cleaning, and companies like EVgo making sure the all-electric fleet stays charged up and ready to go.
Okay, so the strategy is brilliant, the tech is impressive, but does it actually work? In the real world, with real people? Well, let's look at the numbers, because the proof is definitely on the road. Waymo has now driven over 100 million fully autonomous miles on public roads. Just let that number sink in. To put it in perspective, it took them a year and a half just to hit their very first million miles. The experience they're gaining now is compounding at a wild rate, creating a data advantage that's pretty much impossible for anyone else to catch. And let's be clear, this is not a science experiment anymore. In big cities like Phoenix, San Francisco, and LA,
Waymo One is a real commercial ride-hailing service. We're talking about 250,000 paid passenger trips every single week. This is happening right now.
But here it is, the most important question of all. Is it actually safer? Well, according to the data, which was validated by the insurance giant Swiss Re, the answer is a resounding yes. Compared to us humans in the same cities, the Waymo driver is involved in 80% fewer accidents that result in any kind of injury. That is a staggering number.
So for years, Waymo absolutely mastered the chaos of complex city streets. But there was always one final frontier left to conquer. The final boss of driving, if you will. The one piece of the puzzle they needed to solve to truly change transportation as we know it, the highway. And in late 2023, they did it. Waymo became the very first company in the US to offer fully driverless rides to the public on the highway. I mean, think about that. They had to master that high-speed, assertive dance of merging and changing lanes, the kind of driving that stresses a lot of us out.
So why does this matter so much? Because cracking the highway isn't just a cool new feature. It's the strategic key that unlocks the whole kingdom. It makes trips way faster. It opens up those super profitable airport routes. And, most importantly, it proves the core technology is ready for Waymo Via, their autonomous trucking division. And that is aimed squarely at the multi-trillion-dollar logistics market.
So, here we are. After a decade and a half of relentless heads-down focus, Waymo has cracked the code for both the city and the highway. The tech works, the safety case is solid, and the business is starting to scale. The only question left is, what comes next? Are we watching the beginning of the end for human driving and the dawn of a fully autonomous logistics economy? Because that seems to be exactly where this road is headed.